This episode of Inuyashiki was actually really good. I had a real fun time watching this show because it did give a lot of character developments, not only for Inuyashiki, but it also did so for Hiro as well. So first, let's start off, regarding Hiro and, what he's been going through as, this newfound change of power that he has now acquired. It has gotten to the point into which Hiro has become less human than he was before, and now, because of this power in which he has become a robot, he is more like a machine, does not have any empathy towards other individuals whatsoever, and simply just does not care, what his actions cause. So we see Hiro in this episode. A few things regarding, when it comes down to his abilities is that not only can he slice open individuals by a mere touch and make them bleed to death necessarily, kind of like how we saw in episode 2 where he sliced the girl's fingertip open and obviously then finished her off, but nonetheless, he still cut her open. He can also repair the individual's skin and is also able to repair their organs from bleeding out and such. Not only that, but he is also, as a machine, he is also able to manipulate other machinery as well, kind of like how we saw in episode 2, how he changed directions of the cars to his own, will, mind you. And in this episode, we also saw him using his abilities to manipulate, banks and also basically cash out money for himself. So he is technically stealing money from other individuals as well. So not only is he a character that lacks, empathy as a machine, but he as well is using this newfound power for the whole wrong reasons. Now, the only thing about Hiro that we could say is the best quality of him, no, it isn't One Piece, is that he is actually wanting to look out for his friend. However, he goes about the wrong way of doing that, as we see in this episode, the bullies who originally were picking on his friend at the time, which caused, him to, not go to school for a couple of days. By the time he actually comes back, Hiro kills them on the spot to prevent them from bullying him even further on. And this is where, by the end of the episode, Hiro's friend declares that, hey, I don't want to be friends with a murderer or someone who steals. I simply cannot, as a human, be attached to that. I do not want to be any part of that whatsoever. And honestly, when it comes down to Hiro's friend's, decision to actually remove himself, separate himself from Hiro, this person who has the ability to kill, I honestly do applaud him for that. He had some balls, because honestly, if any of us were in that sort of situation, I'm sure the majority of us, we would be scared out of our minds, but probably too scared to, try to separate ourselves from an individual who is willing to kill, because honestly, we have no idea if that individual will, target us next, and that's what I thought was going to happen, as soon as he said that. I applaud him for that, but then at the same time, this also puts, Hiro's friend on the radar for a next potential target. And judging on how I'm assuming the series is going to go, I remember in the openings, I did see Inuyashiki with Hiro's friend. So what I'm assuming could happen later down the line when it comes to the series is that eventually these two are going to team up. Hiro is going to get enraged by this, and therefore it might come down to the possibility that he might actually consider taking down his friend. And judging what we got by the end of the episode, when Hiro's friend makes a statement that, he doesn't want to be a part of what Hiro is a part of, he wants to separate and remove himself as friends of Hiro because he cannot come to terms with that, Hiro walks away and is like, okay, sure, just be sure to come to school every now and then, It did seem like it didn't really bother him that much, But when we transition over to the ending, he kills yet again another family, and then also begins to target little young ones on the street. So you can definitely tell that this, like, honestly, this guy had something wrong with him beforehand, but now because of this, this is definitely the tipping on the iceberg, so to speak, and this is where, you know, this is really going to set things off to the point into which he is going to go on, you know, a murderous killing spree. Other than what he has already done, of course. But what I'm trying to say is that things are going to get worse from here on out. When it comes down to Inuyashiki in this episode, I gotta say, I really love the focus that Inuyashiki got in this episode. I mean, both, you know, perspectives of these individuals who have these powers, these abilities, you know, as mechanical robots, you know, are very entertaining, but always seeing, you know, Inuyashiki, you know, you really sympathize with him as an individual, because while he is machine, you know, he also he holds on to that part of his humanity in which he can empathize with other individuals, and this is what is so different, you know, compared to, you know, Hiro. Hiro is like the polar opposite of Inuyashiki. Inuyashiki has emotions, he still has a sense of humanity within him as a machine, but Hiro, on the other hand, he is devoid of anything of empathizing with, you know, any human whatsoever, and is using his powers for all the wrong reasons, while we have Inuyashiki, on the other hand, using his powers to help out other people. So when it comes down to these two individuals, you know, abilities as machines, they more or less basically have the same capabilities as one another, and pretty much can use them to the fullest extent. The only thing that, so far as what we know of, is different, you know, amongst Hiro compared to Inuyashiki, is that Hiro, you know, can point out his hand and say bang, and, like, I guess like a supersonic, like, echo travels to the point in which it's almost like a bullet that can, you like, penetrate human flesh. We don't really know if Inuyashiki has that at the moment, but as far as everything else, we do know that Inuyashiki and Hiro are pretty much 95%, you know, like each other. But who knows? You know, we really don't know if, in fact, you know, Inuyashiki later down the line in the series will eventually pull out a bang on all of us, and that will be pretty hype. You know, that would be pretty hype, because that's really the only difference amongst, you know, the abilities as far as we know of. And we don't really know if Inuyashiki can use that at the moment, but we do see Inuyashiki start to get a grasp of his other powers, like flying, for example, kind of like how Hiro did by the, you know, beginning of this episode. So, and to see the, you know, the vast difference on how inexperienced Inuyashiki is compared to Hiro was just so funny to see. We see this man, you know, save, you know, a dude's life from this gang who was going to, like, pummel him to the ground, and Inuyashiki is like, you run, I'll handle everything from here, and he gets in a fighting stance, and he's just like this and shit, and we have one of the guys just holding him by the head, and then as soon as, you know, his fist lands on the individual, that is when he straight knocks them out. So not only does this dude not know how to fight, but he also doesn't know how to, you know, control his punches whatsoever, because by the time he actually does end up landing some of these punches, some of these dudes' faces are smashed in, and they, like, spin around and everything, like, and you gotta admit, this like, a machine that punches you head on, that's like being sent back, you know, quite a ways, you know? So this will definitely leave a mark on those individuals. So yeah, when it comes down to Inuyashiki, he definitely needs to learn on to how to combat himself amongst other individuals, as well as protecting himself amongst those individuals that, you know, are looking for a fight with him. I mean, he shouldn't have too much of a problem when it comes down to self-defense, because, I mean, this dude is machine, and probably anyone who punches this guy will end up breaking their hand, you know? But nonetheless, the guy still needs to learn on how to fight and also control his powers, you know, or control his, you know, punches and stuff like that, because honestly, he messed up these guys. He messed up these guys, and, you know, it doesn't want to, you know, he doesn't want to get to the point into which, you know, he can possibly murder someone, you know, and I'm actually very curious if by somewhere later down the line, Inuyashiki will end up killing someone, not in a murderous intent, but out of, you know, control of what he is capable of because of the fact that he is so inexperienced with his overall abilities. I'm very curious about that, if it will get to that point, but we'll see. So yeah, if it's any tips that I can give Inuyashiki, learn how to fight, learn how to control your powers, and also learn how to correctly fly, man. I mean, if it really took you that long to fly, and the only way on how you flied was by, you know, singing an Astro Boy song, I mean, mad respects, man, mad respects. I could tell the creator is a fan of Astro Boy, and probably what inspired the flight in this series, but, I mean, seriously, like, woo! Woo! Chill out! But I will say this, you know, even though Inuyashiki is very inexperienced when it comes down to his overall capabilities as a machine, I gotta say, he is still learning. He is still learning on how to use these abilities, and that is what I really find the most entertaining, you know, out of the series. You know, it's not like he just suddenly woke up with these powers and automatically knows how to use them like, you know, it turns out Hiro did, and it really kind of brings up the question, you know, even though Hiro was at the same location with Inuyashiki at that park during the whole attack in which their bodies were completely reforged, so to speak, you know, it does bring up the question, you know, as to how exactly Hiro came to learn about these powers. Like, I really want to see, you know, Hiro's point of view from what happened directly after the attack. You know, I want to see on how he came to terms with adapting to this newfound ability. But anyways, as I stated before, seeing Inuyashiki, you know, learning more about himself as a machine and what he can do for other people as well as other animals, you know, healing those cats, I thought that was the coolest shit ever. And I knew when those cats passed by in the episode, I knew they were going to either get killed by Hiro, like somehow like Hiro was about to arrive, or they were going to get run over. And what happened in the episode? They got ran over, or at least one of them did, but I was really happy to see Inuyashiki, you know, able to heal the organs within that cat and then bring it back to life, so to speak. And then Inuyashiki goes to a hospital in which there's, you know, cardiac patients, people with cancer and all that. You know, he ends up going to the hospital and starts to begin, you know, helping them out. You know, and you know, when it comes down to him, you know, he can make a living out of this. He really can, by helping out individuals, but that is not his intent. That is not his mindset whatsoever. He could have done that if he really wanted to, but honestly, he is helping out these individuals because it brings meaning to himself, brings happiness to himself, and it's just because he's, you know, a kind-hearted person. And that, my friends, I give mad respect for. So yeah, when it comes down to this episode of Inuyashiki, I loved every bit of the episode, loving that the development that these characters are getting, and to see where the series goes from here on out is going to be quite interesting to see. Loving how Inuyashiki, you know, was starting to figure out more about himself and what his capabilities are with these newfound powers. You know, he is still very inexperienced with them, you know, however, he is, you know, still at least learning in the process, though. So, to see how he's going to fare later down the line when it comes to him going up against, you know, Hiro in the long run, which is what we will definitely see in the series at one point or another. Right now, he's at a disadvantage, but once he gets well acquainted with his powers, it's definitely going to be an interesting fight to see. Definitely interesting. And to see where Hiro is going to go from here on out as a character is going to be also very interesting to see, because it doesn't really seem like he's handling, you know, his friendly breakup with his friend, you know, quite well. It seems as though he's going on a killing spree at the moment. I mean, he has done this before, but he's even more enraged and has more reason now, I guess, to let out his anger, so to speak. So yeah, definitely curious as to what exactly is going to go on in the next episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, what you guys thought about this episode of Inuyashiki. I thought it was a pretty good episode. I really, really enjoyed it. Let me know in the thoughts. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about it. And with that said, be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And with that said, I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.